I.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another installment of TED Excellence, the show in which I'm constantly trying to overthrow the current order of things. I guess? I don't know. You might almost think I don't write these introductions or anything, which is a way of overthrowing the order of things. And I come to you live from Crater Valley on the moon with Dog Cat Fox, a Pepperjack, and all of you. Good evening, everyone. Welcome again to Thursday. Tempestuous Thursday. Hope you're all doing well on this beautiful Thursday evening. It's actually kind of peaceful out right now. It's dark and a little cold, but nothing crazy going on, thankfully. Hope everything in your personal neck of the woods is doing fine and well. So we're back again. The wonderful world of off-brand TED Talks for education and enlightenment. I call it enlightenment. I don't know. Whatever we're doing, who's joining me on this beautiful Thursday evening? First off, Kiever Dam. Thank you so much, Kiever Dam, for providing the links to the GoFundMes and fundraisers for our friends AJ, Ron Harushin, Angela Ariaga, and Kristen. If you guys have the opportunity, please take a look at those. And if you can donate, please do so. And even if you can't, if you can share those out on social media, that would be appreciated. So thank you for that ahead of time. And thank you, Kiever Dam, for providing those. Funtime Bats, good evening. The Alexander, good evening to you. Tier Alexander, the Scourge. Not to be confused with the Alexander. They're just, they're probably two sides of the same coin or something. Tony Giff, good evening. Rotten Corpse, good evening. Kiro Soldier, good evening to you. Mike R., good evening. Attack Alpaca, nice to see you. Adabisi, good evening. Zero, the Confused Hero, 909. Corey Suzuki, good evening. Angelverse, good evening to you. Advocatus Diaboli, good evening. Senior Staff Reporter and Chief Florida Correspondent Colleen Bernier, good evening. Simon Willikins, good evening. Found, you've been found, good evening. And I think that's everybody I see so far that's of an individual nature. I hope you're all doing well on this beautiful Thursday evening. Yeah, so tonight we're going to learn how to overthrow the current order of things. I guess. How to do the revolution, a beginner's guide from TEDx. Now, I don't know exactly what's going to be overthrown, but I couldn't help but notice, it was just a glancing notice when I was pulling this up, that the description contains the words capitalism and gender identity or something. So I don't know. I don't know. We'll find out together and hopefully learn something in the process. Let's see. Tonight's bingo card is Bingo Card A. Links to the bingo cards are in the description below. Get your bingo card ready, and we'll follow along with that. Let's see. This one clocks in at just over 14 minutes. Anything else I wanted to mention ahead of time? I don't think so. I think that's everything. Hope everybody's doing well. I'll give another second here, too, for anybody who's showing up late. I did put the reminder out on Twitter a little later than usual. I got caught behind on some other things. Also, I'm also simulcasting on Twitter. So it's possible we have people watching there. Unfortunately, to this point, I have no way of knowing who or how many or if anybody is saying anything on, X, not Twitter, X, because there's no chat function in X that is then piped over to here. So I'll just have to take it on faith that dual casting on X is doing something for somebody. You'll have to let me know either on X after the fact or in the comments later on. But either way, who else is here? Ryan R. Good evening. But let's get into it. Let's learn what we have to do to join the revolution. Are you ready? And this comes from Brussels, Belgium. But fortunately, and I checked ahead of time because I wasn't quite sure, our speaker is doing the talk in English. So with that being said as preamble, let's get into it and see what we have to do to join in the revolution. What was that little sachet coming across the floor? Did you see that little pause? That little dramatic little. Let's watch that again just for a second. Oh my. Is that this person's name? Habibitch? Oh, no.
Hi!
Hi!
The world sucks.
Boy, if you wanted to try to get me on side before we've even begun the conversation, you're doing a bang-up job.
Thanks for coming to my TEDx. Have a great night.
Yay! Okay, well, let's go to the bingo card. Because okay. I was kind of hopeful for a second there. Also, I'm not quite sure what to make of that jacket or shawl or whatever it is.
No, but seriously, that's a feeling I've had lately, and
That's a feeling you've had lately. The world sucks. Are you an emo teenager?
I guess it's a pretty common one.
Uh-huh.
Assuming you're regular functioning human beings gifted with empathy still?
Oh, I don't know. Am I still a regular human being gifted with empathy? Oh boy, we're in for a long night, guys. Need a little sip of something there to whet my whistle, as it were. Okay.
Right, let's start by running a quick test tonight, Brussels. Hands up if you feel like shit about the overall state of the world.
I'm glad we can see the audience in this shot. Let's see how cynical or pessimistic Brussels, Belgium is. Wow, that's sad. How does the rest of your day go?
Okay, congratulations. You're human beings. You give a fuck.
Oh. So if I have a, positive attitude about life and I try to take things in proportion, I'm not really a human being? All right.
So the world sucks, but, and it's not a I'm not racist, but type of but.
Boy, oh boy, our speaker is something else so far. Okay, let me back up slightly.
I'm not racist, but type of but.
Uh-huh.
It's an actual but.
An actual but. I don't know if I can show that on YouTube, but I guess we'll find out together. Also, your internet's favorite lunatic. Good evening. Okay.
Nobody can deny that we are witnessing a huge global wave of resistance against it, and I would like to think and encourage even this wave to be simply no big deal, the world revolution we've been waiting for.
You're going to have to get more specific because depending on what you see as the terribleness in the world, I might have to direct you to far more terrible times in the past. But we are talking in Europe, and there's plenty of terrible things going on in and near to Europe. So maybe she's got a point. I don't know.
And when I say we, maybe it's just me and I'm being super hopeful. Because as the radical, queer, feminist, decolonial activist,
okay, well, going to the bingo card, reminding this is bingo card A. Links to the bingo cards are in the description below. She's already given us one square with that litany of personal virtue, but let's go over the card entirely and remind ourselves what we're listening for. Collectivize his own demographic. Yes, queer. She's just then systemic or institutional. I'm going to give it some time. I think she probably already stepped on it, but we'll wait. Sales pitch for product or service, not yet. Childhood or family anecdote, no, not yet. Diversity, equity, or inclusion, I'd be surprised if we don't get there. Plays victim, I'd also be surprised if we don't get there more clearly. Microaggressions or unconscious bias, second verse, same as the first. Privilege, same. Contradicts own point or argument, not yet. Patriarchy, not yet. Deceptive statistics, no. Economic disparity, not quite. Free space, circling free space because it's free. Feminism, yes, because she just gave us a feminist element to her makeup. Marginalized, marginalization, again, we'll see if we get there. A list, yes. She went down the list of activisms that she is. White supremacy, no. Word salad, Again, I'd be surprised if we don't get there. Self-vilification or wretchedness, I would be shocked at that one. Weightless example or non sequitur, attempt to coin new buzzword or buzz phrase, mind reading or assumes motives, benevolent condescension. We'll see. Anecdote that probably never happened, not yet, and leaves out vital context, not quite yet. So far on the board, we have collectivize his own demographic, free speech, feminism, and a list. 4 squares in under 2 minutes. Boy, howdy. And thank you, Zero the Confused Hero, 909. How did you find this one? Well, it required a little bit of sacrificial blood, eye of newt, and a cauldron boiling under a half moon while I was dancing around in a Pikachu outfit. You guys have no idea of the amount of work I put in to getting ready for these things. You just don't. You just don't know about the emotional labor and the dark eldritch forces that I have to contend with to bring you this show. Speaking of dark eldritch forces, Mr. Tickletrunk, good evening to you. It's sad she doesn't have a real identity of her own. It's true. Datura Jones, good evening. All right. Well, all right. So you are all of these things an activist, are you?
Because as the radical, queer, feminist, decolonial activist.
Decolonial activist. That's what the last part was. I wasn't sure what she's... Okay.
And professional dancer.
Professional dancer? Okay.
They got layers. That I have been waiting for a change indeed. And good news, you can be involved in that change.
Oh, good. I've been waiting to be involved in change. I can't tell you. 8 years I've been doing my best to be involved in change. Picking at it, nibbling at it a little bit here and there. Maybe now is the time. Now is the time I can be involved in change.
And you can be involved.
Oh, I can.
And you can be involved.
And you get a car, and you get a car, and you get a car.
No, I'm kidding. It's not one of the layers.
Okay. And thank you again, Zero the Confused Hero 909. I enjoy you, but please don't dig so deep. Deep is all I can be. If I'm not deep, I'm shallow. And if I'm shallow, I'm not that interesting, right? I have to dig deep. I have to make up for just how boring I am in real life. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. Just the way it is. That's just the way it is. Some things will never change. Darren Root, good evening. You're too sober for this. Well, I don't know what to tell you. If you need a little bit of brain insulation for this one, I wouldn't blame you.
But surprise, you have already passed level 1 without even knowing it.
By watching a TEDx?
Isn't this beautiful? Giving a shit. Because we're going to go through 3 steps, 3 levels on how to get involved, how to do the revolution, a beginner's guide. Okay,
well, roll credits. There's the title. All right, 3 steps. 3 steps to revolution. If the first step is just, quote unquote, giving a shit, then I guess we only have 2 left.
Basically. And since you've already passed that level 1, it means you're already part of that wave of resistance happening.
Oh, okay.
Wave that is triggered by the fight that could lead, in my opinion, as a proud Algerian, to the revolution.
A proud Algerian to the revolution. Oh, are we talking about like a specific revolution in a specific location, or are we talking about something more broad-based?
The fight for the liberation of Palestine.
Oh, okay. Honestly, if I had known this was going to be the subject matter, I might have avoided this. There are some things that I just find far too tedious to get involved in directly, but okay. In for a penny, in for a pounding.
Yeah, because I'm Algerian, so I was basically born pro-Palestine.
Oh, is that how that works? I'll take her word for it.
Tahia, tahia.
Ooh. So wait, is that shawl that she's wearing one big however you pronounce it, keffiyeh or whatever?
And spoiler alert, I wasn't born in 2023.
You know, I have a feeling she would not be all that popular walking through the streets of actual Palestine. I just have this feeling that some drastic things would have to change for her to exist actually inside the area called Palestine.
I know I look young, but let's not push it, Brussels.
I don't even know what she's talking about at this point, but whatever.
Yeah, because that fight didn't start on October the 7th, 2023. It's been going
That fight? You mean that massacre? Oh, okay.
on for a minute, meaning 1948, and even longer.
Uh-huh.
And even though it's not a complicated fight,
Complicated! What are these mannerisms? It must be some kind of European thing. I don't get it.
you're basically pro or against apartheid at this point.
Pro or against apartheid at this point? Okay.
Well, it's always been a polarizing one. In 1991, already, the Afrofeminist poet June Jordan was saying that Palestine is the litmus test of the world, its moral compass.
Okay, as Advocatus points out in the chat, yeah, and I was just about to do it myself. So there, great minds think alike. Benevolent condescension regarding the situation in the Middle East, etc. Leaves out vital context, circling that one for the October 7th deal. Actually, those you could almost be interchangeable for those two. So, okay. Also, if you are Algerian, you're pro-Palestine, mind reading assumes motives. Circling that one. I assume there are people in Algeria who are either neutral or on the opposite side of the subject.
And I think it's more true now than it has ever been with the awakening that the world is going through. And thank fuck, honestly, facing a live documented genocide on our phones, I'm kind of relieved for humanity, if you know what I mean.
A live documented genocide on our phones. Huh. Gosh, I wonder who it is that is putting all of those civilians under threat. No, I don't want to get too deep in the weeds in this.
And about our phones, this awakening is happening thanks to social media that are finally being fucking useful. Thanks, Black, Jewish, Palestinian Jesus.
Wow.
And I don't think it will come from our phones, but I do think that this wave, this awakening, has the potential to lead the world towards the revolution.
The revolution. Exactly what do you see as the revolution again? This is the liberation of Palestine. That is the end result, the ultimate goal of the quote-unquote revolution. All right. And so why are you in Brussels then? Why haven't you, shuttled yourself off to the area of concern and put yourself on the line for what you believe in?
And I mean the world, at least the part of the world that's on the right side of history.
Oh.
The part of the world that's finally seeing this fight for what it is and has always been, an anti-colonial fight.
An anti-colonial fight. Right. Thank you, Kieverdam. All Algerians like Palestine equals collectivized. Oh, I already circled collectivized zone demographic earlier when she called herself queer, etc., and so on. But that works as well. That works as well. All Algerians like Palestine. So thank you, Kieverdam. Yeah, let me go over it. Let me list off again. This is bingo card A. These are the squares that are already circled. Already circled are collectivized zone demographic, free space, feminism, a list, mind reading assumes motives, benevolent condescension, and leaves out vital context. She's probably already stepped on a couple others, but we'll wait and see if we get some more clear examples as we go. We're only 3.5 minutes into this thing. We got 11 to go.
With a colonizer and a colonized.
The colonizer and the colonized. Uh-huh.
With an occupier and an occupied.
Mm-hmm.
Which takes me to the topic that is linking this potential world revolution that I'm working to see happen to where it always starts, anti-colonialism resistance.
Anti-colonialism resistance. Isn't that pro-colonialism? I know. It all depends on the connotation. But I digress. This is me just being an English major.
And when I say always, it's because on top of the one that's happening now, there's been two previous waves in the West contemporary history that could have led to the revolution. The first one happened in the late 60s and was triggered by protests against the US-led war in Vietnam, so triggered by anti-imperialism resistance.
So communism.
And the second one happened not a long time ago, the Black Lives Matter movement that was triggered by the murder of George Floyd.
Oh, no! Oh, Saint Floyd. Yes. Oh, that was a revolution, was it? Boy, oh boy. Yeah, look how well Black Lives Matter has done since then. Oh, that's right. Embezzling millions and millions and millions of dollars for real estate purchases and individual enrichment. Yeah, boy, what a revolution. What a revolution. Thank you, Zero the Hero, again. I'm amazed that her hair does not match her shirt. That would be kind of a trick, wouldn't it? That would be kind of a trick. But she's not an American revolutionary, so maybe that's the difference. Or well, no, I guess I've seen a British neon-haired activist too. I don't know. I don't know what the line of demarcation is in color scheme for warning off the rest of nature.
But the US police in June 2020. So also triggered by anti-imperialism resistance, the police being the armed dog of the imperialist state.
The armed dog. Okay. Kieverdam, thank you again. I need a printer and chips for the bingo cards. If maybe I could like get some merch or something. Get like a bingo card set with some magnetic square things. Of course, if I ever changed the bingo card things, I might have to have some blank ones in there you could write in your own or something. So you could always have an active bingo card in front of you. That would be a project. I don't know if I could swing that, but it's an idea. It's an idea. Thank you, Kieverdam. Appreciate it. Yeah, I really need to work on my merch game, don't I? I almost never bring up the fact I have a merch store. It doesn't even occur to me anymore. I do. If you're curious, I do. There's a link in the description. There are Scribe shirts in there and Scribe coffee mugs, TEDx mugs. There's a Pepperjack t-shirt, which looks pretty good when it's printed out correctly. Fingers crossed sometimes, but anyway. The white Pepperjack shirt comes out pretty good. Not quite sure about the black one yet. I think the printing... There's that little... I haven't seen it in real life yet, and I'm not sure to test it because when I put it together, there's this little outline around the pepper part of the logo that I'm not sure if that's just an artifact of Teespring and how they display it, or if that's actually how it's going to come out in the wash, so to speak. And so I might need to go in there and double check that I've got that correct. Anyway, I'm thinking abstract. I don't know why my brain is trying to escape into some other topic. I can't imagine why that might be.
By the way,
what?
ACAB.
Oh, for those of you listening at home, she just did a YMCA type body movement to spell out ACAB, or all cops are bastards, because she's a really, really brave and stunning and revolutionary individual. Now, if something were to unfortunately occur anywhere in her vicinity of a criminal nature, I wonder who she would be calling.
You're welcome.
Oh, was she expecting applause? Oh, she was expecting applause. Oh, sorry. I paused right when she was expecting applause. Let me go back.
ACAB. You're welcome. So I do think that the link between these three waves is pretty clear. The anti-colonial struggle, which takes us to plot twist, not the anti-racist struggle.
Well, the George Floyd event wasn't an anti-colonial or anti-imperialist struggle. It was a giant excuse for grift on both an individual and corporate level. That's all it was. Giant excuse for grift. A giant excuse to push ESG and DEI type thinking into the world more so than it had been before. That's essentially what it came down to. Virtue signaling uncompared in our lifetime. And it's interesting that that's how you decided to interpret it after the fact. But hey, everyone wants to use that guy's corpse as an excuse for their own agenda, so I guess I shouldn't be surprised.
And you can be involved in that struggle too, which is reaching level 2 of our revolutionary work here, acknowledging the systems of domination of the world we live in.
Whoa. Sorry. Between the accent and my attention span, I need to try that one again. What's the second level? Sorry. The first level was giving a shit, as it were.
Of our revolutionary work here, acknowledging the systems of domination of the world we live in.
Acknowledging the systems of domination in the world we live in? Is that what acknowledging? Okay.
And that systemic thinking is the basis of what needs to be brought back in our political framework now, in my opinion, political materialism.
Okay, well, systemic or institutional for sure is now circled on the board. Political materialism. Is that a pre-existing term? Admittedly, I'm not a political scientist. Political materialism. No, this is not a new term. Political materialism is a political philosophy that analyzes social reality by focusing on the materiality of social relationships instead of the subject. It sounds like a bunch of commie gobbledygook to me. It has been associated with progressive politics and radical ideas like democracy and republicanism. I would really, really need an example. Maybe she'll give it to us.
And what is?
What?
Political materialism.
What was that? What was that Michael Jackson move? Wait, okay. Okay, between the sachet that brought her into the middle of the stage and this, Oh, that's right, she's a dancer. I forgot. She's a dancer. She's got happy feet. She's got really happy hips or something. Okay.
And what is? Political materialism, I hear you say. Well, it's the understanding that the world functions in systems of domination following the triptych class, sex, race, these systems dividing the world in categories. The ones in power benefiting from the system and the ones suffering from it.
I'm smelling some Marxist commie BS here.
Which gives, for a class, the rich and the poor.
The rich and the poor. Okay, well, that's at least economic disparity. Circling that one on the board. Okay, so her big new idea is Marxist communism, etc. Wow, color me surprised.
Marxism.
Yeah.
Sorry, Carl, I have a time limit.
What? Okay. These jokes are failing to land.
For a class, the rich and the poor. Marxism. Sorry, Carl, I have a time limit.
Sorry, Carl, I have a time limit. Okay, so you're oversimplifying something. I don't think it effectively matters, but okay.
For sex, and we would say now gender, men, and women.
Yes.
Feminism.
No.
And for race, white people and people of color, or people of the global majority, as I like to refer to us now.
I see these head wiggles, and I'm thinking like 2 snaps up from In Living Color.
Critical race theory and black feminism.
What? Boy, oh boy. Okay, so feminism is what we say for male and female now. Black feminism, critical race theory. Boy, oh boy. Let me go back to the card real quick. This is a sales pitch. This is a sales pitch for Marxism. So circling that one. It might not be a very effective one, but it's there. She hasn't said diversity, equity, inclusion yet. We're practically there, so I'm going to hold off on that one. Thank you again, Zero the Hero. 'Tis a reach. Is she dressed as the Berlin Wall? I mean, she does have quite a lot of graffiti, and it's kind of squared off with that shawl thing. It's possible. It's possible. But will she come a-tumbling down at some point? And will Ronald Reagan show up and demand Gorbachev tear her down? I don't know.
And from Black feminism, intersectionality,
Oh!
to wrap it up, stating that not only these systems divide the world in categories, but can also and mostly operate simultaneously.
Boy, you know, I feel like I'm going through a clip show of my entire channel's history at this point.
So let's keep that political framework in mind and focus on race, racism as a system, racism as a direct consequence of colonization.
Oh, okay, right. That's where racism comes from.
Which could sound basic as a
Basic! What? I need some oonce, oonce, oonce music going in the background. For some reason, I feel like I need that happening right now.
which could sound basic as a definition, but in the West, we did kind of grow up with that rampant idea that racism is only that basic form of micro-individual hate coming from basic people from the far right saying basic random things like, oh my God, I hate Arabs.
What the? Okay, I waited. I think I waited long enough.
What the fuck are you talking about?
What the fuck is this? What the fuck is this? Right?
Good gravy. Okay, microaggressions or unconscious bias, circling that one as well. Boy, oh boy, this lady is something else. I tell you what, this lady is something else. I bet she's real fun at parties.
Oh my God, Arabs are all terrorists.
Yeah, I heard that all the time.
And I'm not saying this form of racism doesn't exist. As a person who gets harassed by the far right on a regular basis,
I'm sure you hate every second of any interaction you have with someone where you can call yourself a victim. Speaking of which, I'm circling plays victim. Yeah, boy, oh boy. I don't know, guys. At this rate, we might get our card might get blacked out. I don't know. Wait and see. Adabisi, thank you so much. Luckily, I don't understand many of her words. Yeah, her accent is a little bit prohibitive. A little bit. I have to go back occasionally and try to, reassess things. But, and she's going through them so quickly that it's kind of hard to distinguish from time to time. Also, good evening, Payar D. Bayar. And did I miss anybody else? I hope I didn't. If I did, Assassin of the Gray. Good evening to you. Techno breaks down to boots and pants, boots and pants, boots. Yeah. Oonce, 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 oonce. Anyway, sorry, where were we? We're moving around the map so much here that it's hard to keep up.
doesn't exist. As a person who gets harassed by the far right on a regular basis, I'd be lying if I said it didn't. I'm just saying that the racism that you need to be talking about is systemic racism.
Systemic racism, So like, I don't know, DEI initiatives and governmental agencies?
Direct consequence of the West colonial history.
Oh, okay.
I mean, we're talking about what? 400 plus years of slavery and post-slavery colonization.
400 years of slavery and post-slavery colonization. Are you talking about America now? I assume you're talking about America.
Would kind of make sense that it would leave some consequences in today's societies. But to be fair...
To be fair? You want to be fair to slave owners?
It would require for the West to do its duty of memory, which the West refuses to do like a little brat.
The West refuses to do its duty of memory. Okay, what is the duty of memory? And I'm assuming she means duty, D-U-T-Y, and not the other kind, but who knows?
I didn't do anything, Mom.
Oh, yeah, in America, there's never any acknowledgement of our past sins. It never happens. Boy, oh boy, we don't have any laws that have been passed, amendments that have been put into place. We haven't had any cultural movements. films, documentaries, no, there's never been an acknowledgement of our past mistakes in this country. You're right, lady. Boy, oh boy. Again, I'm assuming she's talking about America, because whenever I hear about 400 years of this, that, and the other, it's always talking about America. Faustonia, thank you so much. Per the title, I am totally lost at how we're getting to the revolution part. I am trying here, but it hurts to follow this. So far, it's just a list of complaints and not like advising to action. So I guess we have to wallow in her, I don't know, abstract tantrum first, and then at some point we'll get to the meat of the matter. I guess we'll find out. Thank you, Faustonia. Very generous of you. Appreciate it. Okay, but yes, no one in this country or in any other country ever acknowledges the terrible nature of their history. It's true.
But that's okay, because tonight we're not being bratty.
Okay.
We've been to therapy. We've learned direct communication. We're doing the work.
The work? This is a clip show of the entirety of my 8 years on YouTube.
We're acknowledging the consequences of your colonial history.
Oh, okay. So I guess Algeria, now admittedly, I am not an expert on Algerian history, but I can only assume from her comments that Algeria has to be one of the purest nations on the planet. It's never done anything wrong. There's never been any questionable actions undertaken by its government, past or present or otherwise. I only maybe kind of mean that sarcastically. I don't know. Is that the case? I'd have to look it up. Alan Thyler, thank you so much for the #1 Dogcat Fox. Oh, Dogcat Fox.
Wowie, wow, wow.
Ooh, it's a Shadow Claw Dogcat Fox. Thank you so much, Alan. Appreciate it. So let's see. So I guess Algeria is perfect, right? I mean, it's Algeria's great. Advocatus. Algeria was one of the hubs of the Barbary slave trade. Oh man. I'm sure it was just I'm sure it was a momentary lapse. I'm sure it was just a momentary lapse in judgment. I'm sure Algeria has nothing else to apologize for. I'm sure it's. I'm sure it's like slipping on a banana peel. It was just an accident. I'm sure it was just. Oh, thank you again, Zero the Hero. At this rate, she'd buy her therapist's new jet ski. Or pay for it. Yeah, yeesh. Okay, well, anyway, yeah, so just so you know. Oh, Scribble, you need a what a twisting. You know, I used that very thing, I think in my very first video. A what a twist thing from Robot Chicken. Yeah, it's a good one. I should probably add that. I will think about adding that to my soundboard. But anyway, yeah. So sorry. Everybody else is bad, and you're perfectly fine.
The consequences of your colonial history. These consequences being that if people who were formerly colonized in the colonial system go through racism, then people who were formerly colonizers in that system benefit from racism. And this has a name, people. White privilege.
Oh, white privilege. Well, golly gee, before I get to that, real quick. Thank you, Okie Native. Yes, it was very bad for Spain, Portugal, Denmark, France, Algeria, England, and most of Africa for starting slavery in America. Yeah, exactly. Or, you know, where does the word slave come from in the first place? Native Americans having slaves, Aztecs having slaves, on and on and on, long before anybody ever showed up of a Caucasian nature on the North American continent. Yeah, no. So slavery all started here, guys. It never happened before. Never happened before. Going to the card, she said white privilege. Now, I'm going to circle privilege. She hasn't yet said white supremacy. I'm going to wait and see if she does. So circling privilege. Now, again, just as a reminder, because we have a pretty full card already. This is bingo card A. These are the squares that are already circled. All right. So collectivizes own demographic, systemic or institutional, sales pitch for product or service, plays victim, microaggressions or unconscious bias, privilege, economic disparity, free space, feminism, a list, mind reading assumes motives, benevolent condescension, and leaves out vital context. There are certainly others that are in the running, if not already tripped, let's say. So just hold on with me. She's got a lot more to do, and we're only halfway through the presentation.
Took the world quite some time to unpack, though, as whiteness had been implemented as a tool of colonization by being sanctified as the unthought, as the norm, as the universal.
Is that how they've thought about it in China all this time? And of course, no colonialism, slavery, ill deeds, or anything took place across China in its history. I mean, obviously it was all white. I guess Asians are now white adjacent or something.
A little bit like heterosexuality, in case you know her.
You mean that thing that has kept the species in propagation throughout history and most of nature as well? Yeah, no, I've heard of it. I might have even practiced it.
You all know it's not an obligation, right?
But you know that it's not an obligation. Heterosexuality is not an obligation. So our speaker is against procreation. So she's anti-genocide, but also anti-procreation.
It's also and hopefully just a phase.
It's hopefully just a phase. I'll let my previous innuendo stand.
Whiteness, on the other hand, cannot be a phase. We are not Rachel Dolezal here.
Rachel Dolezal! Oh my God! With deep cuts. Deep cut. I gotta wonder. Did our speaker, delve into my channel's library ahead of this talk? I really feel like she's hitting on nearly every subject, buzzword, point of fascination, or meme in my channel's history. This is so bizarre.
It had been implemented very intentionally. And that intentionality of colonization seems to be very important to be reminded, as I sometimes feel like mainstream media would want us to believe that colonization kind of just happens. Like, oh my God, oh, that was your land. Oh, I didn't realize. Oh, shoot, I guess it's mine now. Sorry, not sorry.
I don't know. But in the chat, Tier Alexander says, Scribe, can you hit the WTF button for me because I have a WTF moment? Like in real life? Well, as you've never asked anything of me before, sure, why not?
What?
You gotta be fucking kidding.
Right?
But I mean, it feels appropriate regardless for this talk, so that's fine.
And that would be colonization. Well, no, colonization is very much intentional, with racism being one of its main intentional tools.
No, usually it's a desire for land and resources more than anything else. And I don't know if you know this, but people who resemble other people have colonized those same people. So I know it's a crazy thing to have to consider, but not everything in life is driven by racism. And aren't you the one that was talking about materialism earlier?
Racism is not a feeling, it's not an opinion. We're not discussing whether or not it's okay to have pineapples as pizza toppings.
Boy, oh boy, she's just hitting all the memes, ain't she?
We're not discussing whether or not it's okay d'ajouter des lardons au couscous. It's absolutely not, خلاص.
Is this beat poetry of a kind? I feel like this is performance art more than anything else.
These things we can agree to disagree on. Racism is not one of these things, nor is genocide, by the way.
Right, coming from the anti-procreation advocate.
So the same way being the Lulu is not the Solulu.
Okay, pardon me a second. I don't know exactly what my tolerance is for smarm, but I feel like I'm reaching the limit as we proceed. I apologize. I just needed a moment. Just needed a moment. Okay.
Well, trying to erase reality by erasing words is also not the Solulu, and I'm specifically here referring to the country I love to hate, the country I live in, France.
Well, I mean, okay, I mean, we can find common ground, I suppose. No, I'm just kidding. France is fine. It's just easy to make light sometimes, that's all.
That has been suggesting to erase the word race from its constitution for over 20 years.
Oh, I didn't know that. And for 20 years they still haven't, huh?
In order to quote-unquote erase racism.
Well, that is a bizarre interpretation of things, isn't it?
Imagine you go to the doctor because your leg hurts, and
the doctor says, well, we'll have to cut it off. No? Oh.
the doctor is like, don't worry, my they, them.
Don't worry, my they, them. Is this satire? And I'm asking sincerely, because this is just so over the top, cringe gobbledygook. Is this lady playing? I mean, she brought up. The thing is, she brought up Rachel Dolezal, and ever since then, I've had this notion in my mind: is she pretending? Is this a joke? Is this a Poe?
Don't worry, my they, them. We'll just amputate the leg.
I was joking. But I'll take the win. I thought it was going to end up in one of those, doctor, it hurts when I, move my leg like this. Well, then don't move your leg like that. But no, it was, okay, cut it off.
Yeah, well, that's France with its racism. When, let me give her flowers, France has been one of the biggest colonial empires of the world.
And look at him now.
So let's not be like France. Let's be more like me.
What?
Racism is a thing. It's a historical consequence.
No, it's... Well... Like theft, like murder, you're never going to be able to get rid of racism. You cannot legislate racism away. It is an idea. It is a bad idea. It is a usually pointless idea, but it is an idea. You can make it unfashionable. You can make it something that people revile. You can make it into a very unpopular idea, but the concept in and of itself will never go away. So yeah, taking a word out of the Constitution or whatever in France is not going to erase racism. No different than if you just erased all laws about murder, suddenly murder would stop being a thing. And why are we dwelling on this? What happened to starting or participating in the revolution? It started with the liberation of Palestine, and now it's dunking on France. Is this just a grieving episode or something? What do they call it? A grief session? Struggle session? Yeah.
It's a fact. It's a structure, and it needs to be addressed as such, which is to say structurally, which means we're all racist.
It's true. I mean, an anti-racist belief or one of the cornerstones of anti-racism, is that racism is a universal constant. It is in all things, all people, all systems. It can't be gotten rid of. It is there forever. All you can do is acknowledge it and pay penance for the rest of your life.
Yes, all.
Okay, so basically you're standing in Brussels telling them all that France is stupid and they're all racist. You're getting a lot of people on your side here.
The same way we're all classist, sexist, transphobic.
Everything's racist, everything's sexist, everything's transphobic, and you have to point it out.
Fatphobic, sexphobic, ableist, etc.
Etc.
The key is to acknowledge it.
Okay, you know what? I'm circling word salad. I don't know. I mean, I feel like it's legitimate to circle word salad for some reason. And, oh, well, now. Huh. Will you look at that?
Oh, won't somebody please?
Bingo. B-I-N-G-O.
Okay!
Right?
We have our first bingo down the N column. Oh boy, this has been a trip so far, hasn't it? Oh, thank you, Keeverdam. This mademoiselle is Delulu. I grant you dispensation for that one. And thank you, Keeverdam. And thank you, Zero the Hero, again. Lady, please summit mount. What's your point? Yeah, where are we going with this? I mean, I really, really wanted to help out with the revolution, guys. I really did. I pulled up this thing specifically to find out how to participate in the revolution. So far, I'm not sure what state of matter I'm currently in.
So we're going to go through a little experiment tonight, Brussels.
I feel like I'm part of a science experiment right now. I fully expect the Silver Shamrock music to start playing and my head to explode in bugs.
Breathe in. Don't be scared. Not
Too late.
too scared. And repeat after me.
Oh no, here comes a mantra, guys. Are you ready?
I am racist.
I am racist. Oh. Let's say, I am sexist.
Right. Bit louder, less white guilt in the back.
Wow. Why? Assassin of the Grey, thank you so much. Racist, ha! Terrorists and Marxists are not human. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Oh, man, thank you, Assassin of the Grave. Thank you very much. Yeah, this lady is something else. She's quite the specimen. Jim Heelis is here. This person found your bingo cards and did, yeah, I can do that. the only one that I'm waiting for, or that I'm waiting to hear someone give me a good argument for, is self-vilification or wretchedness. Because I'm not quite sure. That might be the one sticking point out of every other square on the card. But I guess we'll see. Okay, anyway, she's getting the audience to say what she wants them to say, and the audience, a lot of them are acquiescing.
No, but congratulations. You're acknowledging the historical and material realities of the world you live in. Just to clarify, though, it doesn't mean that you can be shamelessly racist, right?
Right. No. I mean, just having to be forced to or willing to admit that you are a racist means that now you can't be racist. I mean, if you actually were a racist, you wouldn't have any problem probably saying so and then being so, but now you can't be. I'm confused.
It just means that you're not in denial of this late stage capitalism, colonialism era.
Whatever, lady.
And that's kind of what I want you all to think about, right? Knowing that these two things are not mutually exclusive.
What two things? I'm so lost.
What discriminations do you go through?
What discriminations do I go through? Watching TEDx talks and trying to figure out if they make any sense. Mostly. Also, somebody being blatantly racist on a stage and then accusing everybody else of being racist.
And what privileges do you benefit from?
What privileges do I benefit from? I suppose whatever inherent rights I possess as a citizen of the United States, when they are respected and or enforced by those in elected positions to do so. And I only say that because of the pandemic.
And from there, how can you challenge these positions, which is reaching level 3 of our activism work?
Oh, I completely forgot what level 2 was at this point. But okay. I don't know. What is level 3 of our activism work? Pardon me, let me back up a little bit.
And from there, how can you challenge these positions?
Challenge these positions. I don't know.
Which is reaching level 3 of our activism work, the action level. What can you do to challenge systems of domination, starting with the ones you benefit from yourself?
Well, now, wait a second. Now, systems of domination make up most of my love life for the last 20 years. So you just need to watch your step there, lady. I'm just saying. Some things are off limits.
How can you act? And I'm not talking about posting an Instagram story, right?
Right, like, oh my God, like, oh, let's go down to the valley.
I'm talking about actual actions, like going to protests, boycotting, calling your representatives, giving money.
Putting yourself on the line for the revolution and the liberation of a territory that you think is so vital. Where if you walk down the street in the very place that you want to liberate, looking like you do, acting like you do, behaving as you do, you would not be a popular person. Let me just put it as simply and as, British form of understatement as I can for the sake of YouTube. You would not be tolerated in the land you wish to liberate.
Organizing a worldwide insurrection for...
I've been told that insurrections are bad. I was told that was bad.
Boycotting, calling your representatives, giving money, organizing a worldwide insurrection for all I know. You tell me.
No, you tell me. You're the one here giving the lesson.
Just planting seeds here.
Planting seeds of worldwide insurrection? Oh, okay.
But in other words, how can you resist?
What am I resisting again? Oh, right. Colonial, capitalist, white privilege stuff.
Because let's be real.
Oh.
Once you've opened your eyes, once you've passed your levels, once you've woken the fuck up.
Oh, yes. Woke. Sorry. Both for the sake of YouTube and my own sanity, I do have to take this in pieces, unfortunately.
Once you've opened your eyes, once you've passed your levels, once you've woken the fuck up, you do want to resist, right?
Sure. Just to get through this, sure, fine. I'll agree out loud while my brain maintains its independence.
Right?
Okay, I can't let that go too long. I just can't. Because it just feels so,
And resistance has always been here. Like I always say, where there's oppression, there's resistance. And as an answer to the original colonial violence, because that's what resistance is, because decolonization is not just a metaphor.
I feel like she's just spouting out and regurgitating total nonsense buzz phrases for the sake of it. Because I have no idea what she's talking about. It's probably my colonial capitalist privilege that's blinding me to the truth right now.
Well, resistance has taken multiple shapes and forms throughout the years, but one that I love naturally as a dancer is the one of dance.
Dance as a form of dance revolution. This was all. Oh, okay. I understand.
When I started reading Fanon, The Doomed of the Earth, that he wrote in 1961 in Algiers,
What?
I had a massive epiphany.
You did. You had an epiphany. Okay.
Fanon says that the only moment the colonized can free themselves from the colonizers is through body movement, is through dance.
Oh, is that what was going on October 7th? Just one big disco?
So I read that, and everything in my life as a radical activist and as a dancer made sense. Dance is a political art form. It's a tool of resistance.
I guess it all depends on the context. So you put dancing on the same level as, say, someone actually opposing a militant regime somewhere. Okay.
I mean, hip-hop, right?
If you say so.
Global revolution in itself.
Dance revolution?
But let's spend a bit more time on its gay cousin, ballroom.
It's gay cousin ballroom.
Remember that first wave of resistance I was talking about earlier, the
I have a hard time remembering what you said 30 seconds ago, but sure.
late 60s? Well, it also incarnated culturally and gave birth to both hip-hop and ballroom. And I'm not sure you all know what ballroom is.
Ballroom dancing, I think.
But I'm pretty sure you all know what voguing is.
Madonna? Good gravy. Mr. Tickle Trunk, thank you so much. The Dunning-Kruger effect is strong with this one. That is a good way to put it. That is a good way to put it. She's very proud of herself. Okay. So I may not know what ballroom is, but do I know what voguing is? Let your body go with the flow. Hey, come on, Vogue.
Which says a lot about how appropriated this culture has been. But voguing is the dance form of a community that was born out of resistance reasons, mainly resistance against racism.
Is that even true? Is that where voguing came from? Okay.
Indeed, the Black and Latinx LGBT community created ballroom to have a space made by them and for them.
Latinx? Really? Have you ever asked anybody from Latin America about Latinx? Whatever. No, but that's not like a sort of colonialism of language or anything. No. That's liberation from the patriarchal norm or something.
To escape the white spaces they were obligated to navigate in the drag queen community on top of the multiple forms of discriminations they were already going through in the normal world. So they created a resistance space incarnated in an art form.
Uh-huh.
Discovering resistance through dance has been a real revelation to me.
You've got like 3 or 4 or 5 different talks smooshed together into this one thing, and none of it works.
And one of the forms my resistance has been taking.
Uh-huh.
So as a final tip in the wish to make the revolution happen, after our 3 levels, giving a fuck, acknowledging and acting, I would like to encourage you all to not only keep an eye open on any forms of resistance existing around you, but better, create them. Because I do think that once you open your eyes, you can never close them again. And that, yes, the burden of seeing is heavy, but I personally wouldn't want it any other way.
I'm just pausing because I have to.
And I hope that after tonight, you will not either. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, how does she leave the... Yeah, okay, I don't know if they're about to play some music, so I'm going to mute it. But how does she leave the stage if coming out on the stage was so voguey? Let's find out. No, I said mute. What? What the? I need like a car crash stinger or something, because that was just I don't know. Okay. I didn't know what to expect, so I guess I can't be disappointed in what I got, right? That's just the way it is. Okay, so the bingo card. Let's go to the bingo card. This is it as I have it right now. I'm going to go over it one more time by myself. If you guys have any arguments for squares to be circled, please hold on to them, and I'll get to you momentarily. Childhood or family anecdote? I don't recall her bringing up a childhood or family anecdote. She had anecdotes about herself, but nothing like, my mother, my father, when I was a kid, etc. and so forth. I don't recall that. If somebody knows something or remembers something, otherwise. This was a mess, guys, so I apologize. If there are some obvious things that she said that people are screaming at me in the chat, you're just going to have to remind me in a moment. But for the time being, I'm going to leave that blank. Diversity, equity, and inclusion. There was so much DEI rhetoric locked into this that even though I don't think she ever used the words, I'm still going to circle it because in aggregate, it was just there. Contradicts own point or argument. Or, and I keep forgetting to update this square, or fails to make argument. Certainly. Nothing was accomplished here. We are all dumber for having listened to it. Patriarchy. Okay, she brought up feminism. But that alone doesn't necessarily mean I don't think she ever leaned on a masculine evil too much. I don't recall. Again, if I'm forgetting something blatant, I apologize, but I don't recall that. Deceptive statistics. Did she give any statistics? I don't think she did. Marginalization. Yes, at least by implication across the board with the 60s drag queens and voguing and making safe spaces and on and on and on. White supremacy. Certainly that was a running theme in this. And so, therefore, I will circle it. And as a result of that...
Bingo.
What? Of course!
Moving on. This is going to be the tough one. Self-vilification or wretchedness. I cannot, in good conscience, I can't circle that square unless there's an amazing argument out there. Weightless example, non sequitur. How can I count the ways in this one? Moving from topic to topic, making absolutely no sense one to the other. I can't do the Picard quote off the top of my head, endlessly moving from topic to topic. Yeah. Anyway, attempt to coin new buzzword or buzz phrase. You see, I'm hesitant to circle this one because I don't want to give her credit for anything that she was just regurgitating out of Marxist textbooks. I don't think she gave us anything that hasn't already been made up by others. I'm happy to hear otherwise. Sort of. An anecdote that probably never happened. Geez, I don't know. Mischaracterizing October 7th, George Floyd, a zillion other things. America has never examined or acknowledged its sins of its past or anything. Whatever. Okay, anyway, so that is the card as I have it. Pretty full boat so far. Almost every square is a bingo square. So, in fact, I think every square remaining is a bingo square of one kind or another. So the bar is set high here, guys. If you have an argument for a square to be circled, it needs to be a really solid argument. Okay, I'm gonna hold you to this. There aren't going to be any giveaways here. So let's see. And if I've missed your argument, please just repost it to the chat. I'll try to get to it as I'm able. Advocatus. Self-vilification. When she called herself transphobic, nomophobic, and racist, and a few others, she didn't call herself that, did she? She called the audience and everybody else that. Did she call herself that? I don't remember that. I know that she was making the rest of the world evil, but she from Algeria was pure and sweet. So, He just kept talking in one long, incredibly unbroken sentence, moving from topic to topic, so that no one had a chance to interrupt. It was quite hypnotic. Yeah. It's done much better in the Pogo Picard and Data music video. I can't do it, unfortunately. I need somebody to verify. Did she call herself these things? Because as far as I can tell, everything was an accusation outside of herself. Outside of herself. So... she said, I am these things. Did she? She said everyone. Oh, she did? Oh, okay. All right. No, I believe you. This is one of those situations where it's like, I'm not going to fight too hard because goodness knows she said a lot. But if I get at least a confirmation from a couple people, I'm there with you. And good gravy. As a consequence of that.
Ooh, that's a bingo.
Right?
Yeah!
Bingo.
What? Bingo! Yeah!
Of course! Of course!
2 bingos. Oh my gosh. All right, guys. So we have left childhood or family anecdote, patriarchy, deceptive statistics, and attempt to coin new buzzword or buzz phrase. The high bar. Any other arguments? There's only 4 arguments left to make. So if you've got it, lay it out there. You never know. You might just convince me. I could maybe see an outside argument for a couple of them already, but it's all up to you. Okay. Advocatus. Her telling of the history of slavery and colonization, leaving out entire swaths of people who did, should count as deceptive statistics. Okay, that leaves out vital context. Leaves out vital context. I need, it has to be numbers, a chart, a graph, studies say something. It has to be something like that. I can't consolidate those concepts that much. That's why we have the separate squares. I'm not being harsh to be harsh or anything. I'm just saying that this is my rationale. If she brought up, like in 2022, this number of XYZ PDQ, then sure. But she didn't. As far as I recall. Okay. Yes, she was being deceptive, but that's also an element of leaves out vital context, which can also be interpreted as being deceptive, but it all depends on the context, which is either present or not. But you know what I mean. So, Adabisi, childhood family endo. She blamed everyone but herself, much like a child. I take your meaning, but in the content of the talk, it doesn't quite fit. Doesn't quite fit. But I appreciate that, Adabisi. Okay. Let's see. Any other arguments, guys, or any other angles or spins on previous arguments made? Anybody want to back up Advocatus in some way? I am going to be a stickler on the statistics part. She never brought up any numbers or studies. She brought up a couple of years and events, but as far as I can recall, again, maybe I missed something. Childhood anecdote, when she showed us how she pouted as a child. Did she actually do that? Like, did she say, this is how I acted when I was a child? I apologize for having to ask these questions. I'm not being facetious when I ask them, because I don't remember everything that she said, because it was all such a mishmash. So did she say something like, this is how I behaved when I was a child? Because I'd accept that one, if that was such a thing that happened. Blitzero, I don't remember shit. Yeah, this was a litany of stuff with no particular through line. Check your logic. When did deceptive statistics become a square? That was a month ago? A little bit more, something like that. We consolidated weightless example and non sequitur, because the distinction between those two over time just became more and more fuzzy, and it became harder to justify not circling both for one example that fit at the same time. And so we consolidated those two, and I asked for suggestions on the Discord server, and deceptive statistics came up. And that is a feature in a lot of TEDx's. So that's where that came up. Let's see. Let's see. You're a ridiculous lunatic. Blaming slavery on the white man is a deceptive technique, ignoring all... Again, it's statistics. And admittedly, deceptive statistics as a square is still technically under probationary period, right? If it doesn't come up often enough, if it's too wishy-washy, then, we might have to change it. But it's very specific, and we have seen it happen in multiple talks in the past where it would have applied. In this one, she never brought it up, and we can't make the, square peg fit in the round hole kind of thing, just for the sake of it. I'm not going to circle a square just for the sake of circling it. If it wasn't in the talk, it just wasn't in the talk. So I'm sorry, guys. Unless you can point to some place where she brought up a percentage or started saying something like this many people in this time of place or whatever. But if she didn't do that. Alice Morgan, quick distraction. Atozi now has moon-based street maps. So, someone has decided to map out my reality, have they? Well then, that's colonialism, and I won't stand for it. This I command. So anyway. She's still outraged. It's true. She did leave out lots and lots of information and mischaracterized a lot of things. But she never used numbers. So, yeah. 400 years of slavery is a deceptive statistic that existed before and after that in the world. As far as I am going to at least extend the benefit of the doubt. She was talking explicitly, or at least implicitly, about America, George Floyd, etc. And so, yeah, no, I just... Simon Wilkins, I think you mean that you won't stand for it. Boy, oh boy. When we reach the end of the rope in bingo arguments, the terrible jokes come out. Faustonia, crazy how years ago I thought mini TED Talks were pretty good to devolve into what it is now. I mean, it could just be my golden touch with picking out things and just by the dint of luck finding some of the worst nonsensical things. I don't know. It could be. All right. Any other arguments for squares to be circled? And again, I am going to be a stickler here, guys. I'm not going to circle just for the sake of circling. This was a absolute smorgasbord of ideas and concepts out there. But if it wasn't in the talk, it wasn't in the talk. So another minute or two here, and then I'm going to start wrapping things up. In the meantime, let me prepare a link to the previously mentioned Discord server. If you're not already a member of the Discord server, you can easily become a member of the Discord server by clicking on the link I am now putting in the chat. And once you click on that link, you'll find yourself on the landing channel called Say Hello. And in addition to saying hello, you just have to say the secret word. The secret word will tell me that you're not a bot, have actually watched the stream, and have thus earned the right, the privilege, the entitlement to join the Discord server. And today's secret word is Algeria. Just say, hello, Algeria. I don't know that you watched the show. Check your logic. Just a correction. No one actually believes Asians are white adjacent. That was from one op-ed article. Otherwise, the Stop Asian Hate campaign would have never existed. Yeah, no, I know. Well, I've heard it from several places. I don't know where it originated first and foremost, but I can believe it. That one article became everybody's mantra, sort of like with McKinsey and Company. I will push back on the idea that no one actually believes it. A lot of people have made themselves believe it and have acted accordingly. So that's the only thing that I'll push back on. Thank you, Keeverdam. Change anecdote that probably never happened to improbable anecdote. I mean, 6 of one thing, half a dozen of the other. Not to be too smart mouth about it. I think it effectively means the same thing, right? Unless you're just trying to, like, you know, test my English major impulses for efficient vocabulary choice, I suppose. Which could be. All right, guys. I think I'm going to stop it here. Now, of course, as always, if you have an argument for a square not yet circled, you can always make your case, either if you think of it after the fact, or you're watching this in the future, or you refine something you were thinking of before. You can always make your case either in the comments below or over on the Discord server under the TED Excellence heading, or, you know, channel, or whatever it's called over there. And if your argument convinces me after the fact, I will retroactively circle a square. And if that does lead to bingo or bingos, you'll be credited at least for bringing that upon us, and I'll update the card on the Discord server as it becomes necessary. A couple of programming notes. As always, you can find me here Thursday nights at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern for TED Excellence. Also, Sunday at 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Eastern will be the Sunday stream, where I'll go over many different news stories of the week that have caught my eye, and boy howdy, have there been a lot of interesting and ghosts from the past, I'll just say, that'll be showing up in this Sunday stream this week. Also, you can usually find me, with, you know, scheduling and time allowing, on Midnight's Edge in the morning on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern, over on the Midnight's Edge channel. I had the odd honor of opening up the show on Midnight's Edge on Wednesday. It was a very, very bizarre chain of events that led to that, but it was fun for the 10 minutes I was the host of Midnight's Edge. And I can occasionally, depending on the timing, be found on Midnight's Edge After Dark on Tuesday nights over on the MEAD channel. Beyond that, I can also do ambush streams over the course of the week if something interesting pops up and I decide to say something about it, as I did this week with Bridge. I'm just all over the place this week. I was on Midnight's Edge. I was on Latino Slant. Last week, I was on 32 Flavors of Nick Weiser. I've been invited on another channel, which I won't say right now because it's in the future and things might change. Anyway, I'm such a popular guy, and yet I do this to myself. Algerian revolutionaries for Palestine. Thanks, TEDx. Everyone, thank you so much for coming out and joining me for this one. I know it was a slog, but it was an interesting slog, at the very least. Moderators, thank you for keeping an eye on things, even though everyone here is so well behaved. You have very, very little to do. Everybody who donated, either to myself or to those fundraisers pinned to the top of the chat box, thank you guys so much for your generosity. Very much appreciate it. Leave a like on the way out if you would. Share the stream if you would as well. Let people know that I exist, because just for the fun of it. And if you want a Scribe Light TED Excellence coffee mug, the merch store is in the description. There, I did the merch store thing. Everyone, hope you have a good rest of your Thursday evening. Hope you have a good Friday ahead of you and weekend as well. I hope you're all safe and well. If you're not well, please get well soon, and I will see you on the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.